out of your system.
Get it all out. So.
Yeah.
A few months ago when we started this project.
Yep.
At what point were you going to tell me that this was a dogshit game and bad series?
I know that you loved everything that just happened.
No.
I know that you loved it so much.
It was bad, and we got to talk about it because it was... I fully cried.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, I'm getting misty-eyed. It was like tears came out of my body.
Yeah.
I was so genuinely upset at what happened.
It's awful. It's one of the most awful things they've put
It's like
into a game ever.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And it's
didn't like it.
because it's so well delivered too.
No, it's bad. I hate it. It's bad. Stupid video game for idiots.
And what's fun about this is one of the parts you cited that you were like, oh, I didn't care about this.
This was the moment on my original playthrough that bought me out because I didn't care so much.
Yeah. And
upon replaying it,
it's awful. Yeah.
It's bad. Not a single positive emotion. Anyway, hi, my name's Robin. I played 2 Dragon Age games.
And I'm Dillin. I've played all the Dragon Age games a million times.
Woo! This is Dorkspawn. Up front notes. We have a Patreon now.
We do.
We have 1 video on it.
Yep.
So far, we're going to have a video monthly, right? And was that our October video that went up?
That was our...
Or launch, I guess. Because...
What a great question that I would love to have the answer to tell you about.
We have a... We have a Patreon. We have 1 video on it.
And we have an episode of Frequencies, but we have an episode, but we do have an extra Dorkspawn as well.
Yes, you have an extra Dorkspawn. It is us ranking every character in the base.
So we
like November 2nd. I feel like
you want it to be the October, and
let's
then
have
we'll do
that
another
be
one in
October.
November. I agree with you. We'll do an October one too. We'll do a November one. I mean.
Yeah. And it's us ranking the Dragon Age Origins characters. We don't do all of them because the tier list that we had didn't have
we just
all of them, which we realized really late into doing it.
It just didn't have DLC characters, which is disappointing.
Because they're great, but it didn't have DLC characters. But it was fun. It was like a 2.5-hour episode that we did because we realized very early on that we could just
talk about Dragon Age,
and we're not allowed to do that outside of
recording Dorkspawn.
So it was great for us. But yeah, we'll have another, and then we also put up our AP stuff. So we have a show called Frequencies, which is getting early release on there, which is a like a psychological horror actual play.
Yeah,
if people know TTRPG stuff, which is our main gambit. But it's great. It's really good. It's like the opposite of this, where it's like a really high-produced audio drama and not just us 2 fucking about.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a big tone shift, to be honest with you.
If you don't know actual plays, or maybe, you just want something a little different, then it's on there. And hey, listen, if you're already on the Patreon, you get it for free, so a week early, so you might as well listen to it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good shit. We, this week... did the what quest did we do?
It's not. I'm just the name of it is just has disappeared from my brain for a second. Just give me a hot little minute. Here lies the Abyss is what it's called.
Here Lies the Abyss.
Goodness.
So we did Here Lies the Abyss this week.
Before we get into Here Lies the Abyss,
I was just about to say.
So I want to catch up on companions. We haven't talked enough about them. I want to see where we're at in their side quests and personal quests and stuff. Because I did some notable ones. I did Solaces, which I know you had already talked about.
I've done
last
that
week,
before.
so I did that one. I have a big one that I just did was Cassandra's.
I have yet to do. I have the quest log, but I got it after I did the Abyss. So
okay.
So I did.
We'll talk about that when you've done it.
Yeah. I did 2 quests after Abyss. I just didn't do Cassandra's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done? You wouldn't have done Cole's because we get Cole's after Abyss. Have you done? You did Dorian's.
I've done Dorian's.
We talked about that.
I have just done Blackwall's.
Oh, we got to talk about that. That's huge.
Huge, dude.
Huge. Okay,
so,
talk to me.
All right.
I haven't done Blackwall's, but I did just get it upon returning to Skyhold after.
Yeah, I think it triggers after you finish Abyss. I think
it triggers after Abyss as long as you're at a certain
interesting.
with him. This never triggers if you don't have.
Jesus, that's crazy. So, because then also after Abyss, I also started Varix, which was very interesting because I met Bianca, which
How
is.
Far? All right. Well, you know what? No.
Talk
to me about Blackwall first.
So, you rock up. You rock up to Blackwall's little shed, and he's nowhere there.
Yeah.
And then you find a guy who's like, "Hey, you okay?
Yeah.
What happened there?"
It's a crazy sudden headache. Just like
gosh.
Really crazy sharp headache out of nowhere. That's okay. I'm good.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We so you rock up, Blackwall's nowhere to be seen.
Yep.
And then and then there's a guy who's like, yes, so Liliana, our spy master, who's Liliana, has confirmed that he's not here anymore at all. But we found this note, and then hands you a note, and it's a note that's just like, thank you for all that you've done. I appreciate you. And then a little thumbs up. And you're like, cool, okay. Crazy. Then you can find that he was researching about someone that's going to be executed in Orlais.
Yes.
You go to Orlais, and it's just some guy who was like an ex-soldier who slaughtered like a whole family of people, children and all.
Yep.
And then, this is also after you have a meeting with Blackwall, and he tells a story of a dog.
Yes.
Some kids are like chasing a dog, and then the kids
kill the dog,
and he doesn't do anything about it.
He does nothing. Yeah.
And then afterwards, then he after he tells this story about the fact that he watched this dog die and he didn't do anything about it. Which is a really fun, good bit, actually. I really liked that scene, just because I love Blackwall very much. Then you go to Orlais, and there's this guy who's like slaughtered this whole family of people. And then as he's about to be executed, Blackwall storms on stage, and he is like, and you're like, Blackwall, and he's like, I am not Blackwall. Blackwall is dead. I am Tom de Revier, I think. Something. I didn't write it down because this was after
Tom Rainier.
Tom Rainier. And he's like, I gave the order for this guy to kill that person's whole family. Don't kill this man. Arrest me instead. And they're like, okay. It was fun because for this quest, I brought Solus, Cassandra, and Sarah. And Solus and Sarah both have shit to say about this. Mm-hmm. Solus is like, humans, fun. Look at them executing and their fun little customs. And Sarah's like, ooh, there's an execution. I wonder where the food is. And I thought that was a fun comment for the pair of them. Cassandra is stoic and doesn't say anything. And then you go down into the prison and you see Blackwall and you're like, hey, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
You bounced and now you're claiming to not be Blackwall. So I do want to say, when I met Blackwall, I said, I bet this guy isn't a Grey Warden. This is pretty sus. But then during the during this quest that we have just done, because I brought him along on this.
Yeah.
He is talking, because it's a whole Grey Warden themed thing, so I was bringing him along the whole time.
Him along too, yeah.
And he says, oh, you might not know my face, but you know my name, Blackwall. And I was like, oh, okay, clearly he is. Because then people do recognize the name Blackwall.
And he says a lot of shit about the Grey Wardens that's like really powerful, and he like sways people, yeah.
So I was like, okay, so he clearly is... Blackwall is clearly a real person. But then halfway through this quest, I was like, bet you what? I bet you Blackwall died and this guy took his name. And I was correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he says that he was like an Orlesian commander and commanded his men to execute a high supporter of Empress Selene, because Gaspard was like, hey, there's a lot of money in it for you if you kill all these, if you kill this family. He didn't know the family would be there, but then regardless, they were all slaughtered because if they, no witnesses and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he was so disgusted and ashamed with what he did, he ran away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, he did.
And then whilst being like, I'm going to fucking kill myself, actually, he came across Blackwall, and Blackwall was like, let's get you a new start, join the Grey Wardens. But then before the joining could happen, Blackwall, the original, was like, I have one thing to do, and that one thing got him jumped by Darkspawn and killed, and then Blackwall lived, and then took his name, and then continued on his way.
Yeah.
I then got him out. There's different ways. There's 3 different ways on the war table that you can get him out. You can get Josephine to pull some favors because, the game now owes you for saving Empress Selene, mm-hmm. or whatever, owes you in some way.
Yeah.
You can get Cullen to just storm it and kill people. and like, because he's like, wait, there's going to be casualties because we're going to literally storm this place and then grab him and bounce
and bring him out.
Or you can get Liliana to switch Blackwall with a guy who looks a lot like him who is going to be executed, and that person is a traitor. I got Josephine to do it because I was like, Blackwall is going to be super pissed if we switch him with someone else, or if we storm the thing. He's also going to
cause more casualties in his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken? Is the Josephine one multiple parts or?
No, Josephine's quest is multiple parts, which is another one I've also done. I've also done that because true. Liliana has one and Josephine has one for Josephine. Josephine's quest. So I got Josephine out, and then in like offer of what can, because then you at the seat in like the throne of the Inquisitor, you have him come to you like he's a villain,
right? To sit in judgment,
and then you can banish him. You fully get him to leave the Inquisition. You can free him, but you have to atone by fighting with us, or you can hand him over to the Grey Wardens and then have them decide, I think. And I freed him because he's my dad. And I know that he's done bad stuff, but Helwyn is like very into second chances and oh my god, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I love him. So I wanted to make
such a piece of shit.
I think he's the best. I really do like the fact that he for this whole thing, basically the whole game is fully like, he's the most noble guy ever. Like, he's exclusively trying to do good constantly, but there's always something off with him. So you can kind of guess. It's not hard to guess what his situation is beforehand. But then he tells you the story of the dog, and you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense as to why you're like this, because you are a coward.
You feel like you were a bad person when you were young, and now you're trying to make up for that.
And then it turns out, no, he was a bad person for a long time, and is now on his redemption quest, and is like, Blackwall, the real Blackwall was the best guy, and was really noble. Duncan spoke highly of him. Which you find out. And he was just like, he was the best. He was truly like a Grey Warden's Grey Warden. And then Blackwall was like, Tom, whatever his second name is, died that day, but Blackwall lived because he took the name and then carried it on. And I'm like, you know what? I love the Dread Pirate Roberts, actually. That fucks. And I just think he's really fucking cool.
I think he's awesome. A bastard because he lied to us, continuously gaslit us when we needed information about the Grey Wardens, and he was this weird outlier in that, like, he wasn't hearing the calling. He doesn't know who this mysterious warden is that every warden wants to capture. He doesn't know XYZ. And like, we're like, buddy, we picked you up because you're the Grey Warden. What? You let me use those treaties? Like, in your fucking name?
All right.
You let me use those documents?
No, I get it, because I also was a little, like, miffed and betrayed, but I do understand, because you question him on it, and he's like, because I was like, why did you let me just believe this whole time? And he said, you needed Blackwall, so I had to be Blackwall.
I needed Blackwall the Grey Warden. You didn't give me that.
He's
you
also
gave me nothing.
He's
Grey
also
Warden related.
Literally on the run, and so like, he's taken that name and had that name for years at that point, and it's like, he knows that it's not, but he's
nothing with it. I mean, he
training
all the blank slate of a Grey Warden without the fucking nightmares, without the consequence. He's not in the goddamn deep roads hunting the demons. He's not.
All right, listen. Just because you paid off your student loans and now they're all exempt doesn't mean that the people. That you understand the metaphor.
I really don't.
What you're sounding like right now is someone who paid off all their student loans themselves, and then the government was like, oh, we're just going to exempt everyone from student loans, and then you're pissed that everyone else has that.
If they invented a joining ritual that did not have the same... No, I'm angry. Because if they came up with a way to make the joining ritual... better in that it wouldn't kill 30% of everybody who does it, or something, I'd be cool with that. That'd be great. Let's make the world a better place. But you don't get the clean slate of a Grey Warden without undergoing. It's in death sacrifice is in the slogan. You don't get to just skip all of that.
Listen, he was just like, he needed a second chance. He can't do the joining on his own. But then also he was like, he's just taken the mantle of this guy and then kept that going because the name is important. Like, the name of Blackwall, like, helps people and gives the Grey Warden some form of hope, as we've seen many times. So he was like, it's actually better that continues. And now we've caught him, we can be like, the whole option was, you have to atone for the fact that you lied to us. And he's like, yeah, I'm yours without a doubt, 100%. Like, I will make.
Is that what you chose?
Yeah. It's telling him to atone. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, like, without a doubt. Like, my sword is the Inquisition's until I die. Like, and that's a good, like, he understands that it's bad, but it just got too far. He didn't know that there was going to be a fucking the end of the world had to start happening, because then we came to him. He was just idly training villagers, and then you came to him like, hey, the world is ending, we need the treaties, and you're a Grey Warden. And he's like, okay, I have the treaties, which is true. He does have those, and Blackwall has the power to enact them. And if every other Grey Warden is in the Deep Roads, he is the only guy that could do it. It might be a different story if not everyone got the calling, and because he wouldn't have been the person that everyone went to. They would have gone to Alistair, or they would have gone to literally any other Grey Warden.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that we found. And what is he going to do? You arrive and you're like, oh, you're Blackwall, right? Because we really, really need your help. What is he going to do? Nope, that's not me. Soz. Do you have the treaties?
That's what he tried to do. That's what if you recall, that's exactly what he tried to do until we guilt tripped him into joining the Inquisition. I don't know if you remember.
I actually don't. I don't. I don't. I remember appearing and then he saved me with a shield and it was hot and cool. And then I was like, this is this cool guy.
Unbelievable. Liliana knew the entire time. First thing that she says after we have Blackwall join back in the early bits of the game.
Yeah.
We go into after you recruit him the next time, or like one of the next times you go to the war table, there's like ambient dialogue between the advisors that's always going on when you enter the war table. And there's a bit from Liliana where she says she questioned Blackwall about the disappearance of the Grey Wardens. And unfortunately he didn't know anything. And she says, he is not what I expected. But we are glad to have him.
Yeah. And I tell you what,
amazing.
I tell you this right now. If Liliana is able to be like, yeah, fuck it, fine. Yeah, he can join.
Do you know who is not a Grey Warden? Liliana.
Wow. You keep her name out of your damn mouth when you're insulting people.
I'm saying that just because she's my wife and just because she was married to a Grey Warden doesn't mean she knows.
No, but if she knew that he wasn't a Grey Warden and she has lost everyone close to her at this point who are all getting the calling, she's like, it's fine. Like, yeah, we'll have him because he's still useful in some way.
Useful, yeah. But still bad person. Did bad. Was still doing bad. So that whole atonement thing is starting now, in my opinion. Is he has been
I think it's a different atonement, though. Mm-hmm. I think he has been working at atoning by doing lots of good, which you can't deny that Blackwall has been doing good this whole time. He's been helping a bunch of people. We literally meet him training villagers to defend against civil war attacks. And then he did join the Inquisition. And whenever you ask him to be like, hey, I'm going to do something crazy, he's like, okay, I'll help. You meet him in the future part of the universe when you jump ahead a year in the future and everything's fucked. And he is like still a good dude and is like, yep, I will join you even though I'm going insane right now. Mm-hmm. And he does it immediately because he does and has worked on atoning for that part of his life. And then the second bit is like, hey, you lied to us, so you have to atone for that. That's different. That's like I get why you did it. And I get that you essentially had no choice but to keep up the lie. But now you gotta fix that part of you. And who knows? If there's a choice, I'd make him do the joining. I'd be like, hey, listen, be a Grey Warden. Like, let's do it. My man is right there.
Fascinating. Because
I think he would. He wants to be a Grey Warden. I truly don't think he's had the opportunity. He was on his way to do the joining.
Yeah, that I agree.
So like he would do it, but then he took on the mantle of Blackwall because the name is so important to people. Again, Dread Pirate Roberts. But then if he is already Blackwall, no one's going to ask him to do the joining unless he's like sat in on some people doing the joining. They're like, oh, do you want a sip? And he's like, oh, okay. It's just not gonna fucking happen. They all leave and then they had some juice left in the cup and he just like, I'll catch up with you guys.
Except everybody drops the cup at the joining because it's so traumatic. There's so much waste involved in the joining ritual, and people are not talking about this enough. Because every time you take one sip of that joining cup, and then you have to drop it on the ground dramatically, and then it's just all gone, and the joining cup is broken. It's a whole thing.
I appreciate that, you know, of why people would not like him after. There's some people who didn't like him because of the dog story, and I think that's silly.
No, that's silly.
Yeah,
he was a child, and it's relevant to that.
Yeah, he's a child, and he didn't kill the dog. And also, even if he did kill the dog, do you know how many fucking dogs I've killed in this series? Like, it's not that big of a deal to me.
Yeah, we killed dogs in the last 2 games in particular.
Into hundreds.
More than what I'm comfortable with. Yeah, so many dogs.
But then, you know, this other stuff, it's like, I can appreciate why people would be like, go die. What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
I bounced off him because the first time that I played the game, I was trying to romance him. And when you get to Skyhold and you flirt with him again for the first time after getting to Skyhold, he takes you on a walk on the ramparts and he's like, I'm no good for you. I'm a bad guy. And the option, if you want to keep dating him, is to like convince him that he's not a bad guy. And then he still lies to you for another like year and a half. And I'm just like, oh, fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. You piece of shit.
The romance would be tough.
Yeah.
I was, however, genuinely in the Veil in this mission before obviously it was all revealed. I was like, I would romance Blackwall, I think, if I play this game again.
Yeah.
I just think he's just great. I like him so much. He might be my favorite companion in the game. I know, right? Wild. Crazy. I really like Solus. Really do, and his romance is pretty strong. However, he doesn't have. I've done his like one mission, and that was cool and interesting. But the reason why Solus is interesting comes at post base game content, right? Like it comes later. It's not like, you know, all front loaded. Whereas I've just gotten pretty much all of Blackwall's story up to a point. And I haven't really. Well, okay, so. Josephine's storyline I've done most of, not all of it, because
our girl's in debt.
Our girl's family's in debt.
Yeah.
And by a huge amount. And then the Assassin's League is out to kill her because why is it? It's because their family is not allowed to become a notable house, and it was written by a family that have been dead for the past 100 years, but they just future-proofed it. And the League of Assassins are going to go kill her and the family.
Yeah.
So there are 2 ways of solving the problem. Is you can go Josephine's route, which is proper channels, which will take fucking ages, or Liliana was like, I'll just steal the contract and burn it, and then they don't have a contract. So then what does it fucking matter? But Josephine's like, I don't want to do that. It's going to cause a big stir. But Liliana's like, but it's going to take fucking ages actually to do your way, which is proven because when you do like the first part of the step, the next time you walk into Josephine's room, there's a dead guy and a guard. And Josephine's like, yep, there was an assassin in the room and tried to kill me, and they were very close to doing it, but Liliana secretly set up a bunch of her assassins pretending to be my guards so I wouldn't notice, and then they stopped it before it happened. And I'm like, Liliana has your back like crazy.
So you did that one?
I'm doing Josephine's route.
Oh, you are doing
because I just feel like it's her quest and it's her demand, and although Robin, think I would do Liliana's route because I think that's the smartest way of doing it. Helwyn is doing what she asks.
The debt is on a technicality that the Assassin's League has this contract out. There's no one left from that family who put that contract out. There's no one to fulfill, like, who's awaiting this to happen. The Assassin's League just has a code where they fulfill all their contracts no matter what.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do it regardless of whether or not the people who made the contract are even alive.
Yeah. So it's the way you break that technicality. You're like raising someone to nobility to be able to cancel your contract. Or you get Liliana to burn the contract, and considering it's a technicality, technically the contract doesn't exist anymore, so technically there's no contract. And that's the technicality that Liliana's working with. But
my wife.
Yeah, so Josephine is like, I don't want to do that. So I was like, all right, it's your call. We won't do that.
I love that Josephine is 3 summer homes poor. Absolutely astounding.
She is
3 summer homes
absolutely
poor.
Truly
My
is
girl.
She's upset that she can't be nobility, and it is pretty funny. Then Vivienne needed me to kill a snowy wyvern.
Oh, did you do it?
So I did that. Kill the snowy wyvern. And then I gave it to her, and it turns out that she has a husband.
She has a torrid affair.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. She's a mistress to this gent. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But she is trying to make a de-aging potion, alchemical concoction to feed to this guy that she's in love with. However, it doesn't work. And he dies. Did
you know that you can kill a regular wyvern and lie to her and tell her that's the heart of a snowy wyvern, but give her
it's a fake one, which is because I had because I noticed that because I killed 100 million wyverns whilst trying to find the snowy wyvern. I decided to not lie and then give her the real one. But then because he died, I was like, I wonder if I gave her the fake heart, just like a normal heart, if that would have worked, because that would be like a weird, fun, like, if you read this thing, you'll actually find out that she read it wrong, and it's you don't need a snowy wyvern heart to do this. And I thought that would be fun, but that's the last that happened with it. I gave her the thing, and then she's like, "Oh, I have a husband. Oh, he's dead." And I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "You okay?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Okay." And now her tarot card's changed, and I'm like, "Okay." And then I'm living my life again.
Yeah. It's because she is so. She's just it's similar in a way to Cassandra's quest, which we also have to talk about. In that she is this kind of determined and, like, I don't know, kind of almost cold, but in a, like in that proper kind of way.
In a professional way.
Very professional with you.
This is a job for her. She's not here with her best friends. She's here working.
Yes.
Yeah.
When she calls you darling, it's patronizing.
Yeah.
In a sweet way. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
But she's like, dress yourself.
She'll go to the tavern and have a drink with you if she's invited. But if you don't invite her, she's off at another tavern with her actual friends drinking.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And she's at a soiree. She's not ever at a tavern.
Yeah, exactly. She's at a fancy party.
But she's soft, and she has a softness, and she has. This is it's like an affair that offers her position, but she genuinely cares for him.
Mm-hmm. Is that the end of her? That can't be the end of her story, is it?
Well, that's the end of that quest.
Moment. Okay, good.
And we can talk about the fact that she's underwritten, and that is a chronic condition of. I can't even just blame BioWare, because we've all seen what happened to Will.
That's exactly what. This is a classic Will situation for me. It's like, I feel like, now I don't know anything about the Dragon Age fandom, but I do know the Baldur's Gate 3 fandom. I can imagine that she is completely taken out of context and misunderstood by all of the fandom, and also is in lore just like has the least amount of stuff going on with her.
Yeah.
Which feels like that's just what it is.
It's bad.
Um,
but it's great. It's like weirdly fairy tale, and it's just like this kind of magical insight into her just being a person and having, romance and feelings and despair.
Yeah. Grief. No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good little bit. It's a nice Snow White reference, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then she tries to do the aging potion, which is another Snow White reference. She's very that, which I think is fun.
Cassandra's? Did you do Cassandra's?
I didn't. I have it. I haven't done it though.
Oh, you know what? There is one that's not necessarily Cassandra's quest. It's just a Skyhold
base thing that quest. She gives you.
Did you do the one about her and Varric?
Which one is that?
The book?
No, I haven't done that yet, but I've been told about the book to go get the book. And I was like, okay.
Okay. Actually, I'm realizing there's lots of books. Cassandra wants you to find a book, and that's part of her personal quest. There's also one time when you talk to her at Skyhold, she's reading a book. Did you get that yet?
Oh, no, I haven't. No.
Okay. Never mind. We will talk about that later. Okay. Sarah's. You did Sarah's quest about where she goes to meet her friends for a payout, and then she kills that guy because he's a fucking dick. Have you gotten any more Sarah bits? Because there are a couple little Sarah quests around Skyhold.
Oh, no, I haven't. I've done a lot of stuff for her at the war table, but I haven't done.
Are you talking to people every time you come back to Skyhold?
I'm talking to some people, yeah.
You gotta talk to everybody.
There's so many of them.
I know.
I just can't be bothered.
I got a good one with Sarah. One of my favorite ones is where she is like, "Hey, you're getting pretty stuffy. Hate that. Let's go play some pranks on people."
Oh, that's fun. Like
that. It's really good. Cullen.
Did speak to Cullen. Got his "Hey, I'm a drug addict" thing. I don't know what I did with that. I think I just have it on the log, on the little quest board.
So he tells you that he is quitting lyrium. Templars get purposefully addicted to lyrium in their careers. It's what helps them to cancel out mages' abilities, which is like how they do their bad cop behaviors. Cullen is becoming so addicted and he's getting older, and he no longer wants to do it anymore because oftentimes Templars, when they do retire, they kind of just die from this. So he's trying to wean himself off of it. But then later on, so you get that early on, and Cassandra is like kind of like hyping him up that he can do this and that she's going to watch over him. But then later on, he has a meltdown because he's going through withdrawals, and he throws a bookcase at your head. And he is like having a crisis because he doesn't think that he's doing enough of a good job, because he's not at his best, because he's not juicing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I should take it because the Inquisition needs me to be at my best. I shouldn't be giving less to the Inquisition than I give to the Chantry. And you have the option to tell him to continue on the path of not taking lyrium, or to get his drug on and juice it up.
Oh, exciting.
So I have encouraged him to continue quitting lyrium.
Yeah.
Which is fun. There's some good ambient dialogue about that. We haven't gotten Cole's personal quest, but Cole has some interesting table operations. I have deployed Reese and Evangeline.
I asked him if he wanted me to do that, and he specifically said no. And even though it's one of the things where I probably will eventually do it, again, it's the thing where I'm playing someone who needs to appease everyone, fair. And that's he fair. Said, "Don't do it." He
explicitly did say that.
So she probably won't. But then also, I might later, after some things shift in who Helwyn is, where she's like, "Oh, actually, sometimes people don't know what they want."
Yep.
But she's still playing the very meek. No, I'm gonna do what everyone wants me to do all the time.
I mean, and that's very fair. He does explicitly ask you not to bring them into the Inquisition in any way.
It's very funny, having that conversation, and then he talks about them, and you're like, "Do you want me to bring them in?" And he's like, "No." And then you leave the conversation, then it's like, "No operation available." You can. You can still you do that anyway.
Romance.
Solus, still, is just a cute guy. I keep talking to him, and then whenever we, do anything, he talks. We recently had a conversation where because he got pretty angry at me, not at me, but at the Grey Wardens after this quest, and then we flirted a bit, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm so used to making every decision alone. It's weird that people are here to support me in the things that I, and support each other." And I was like, "Ooh, he's my little guy." He's my little guy.
Yeah, he's hot, unfortunately.
I really like him so bad.
Dorian's quest. So after, so my last thing that I talked about with Dorian was we did his little quest where we confront his father, and then we get confronted by Mother Giselle, who's like, "You're being influenced by the Tevinter Mage. You cannot do this." We've been kissing each other since then, just little smooches here and there. He comments about how I run around Skyhold looking fine. He also comments about how many people I kill on a daily basis. It's great. So then he passively tells me about this unfortunate situation where his family crest he had to sell when he left to come join the Inquisition. When he left his family, one of the things he did, because he had nothing to his name and he was abandoning their support, he sold his family medallion, a very, very precious thing. And now that he's, working for the Inquisition, he was like, "I would like to try to get it back." And he just offhandedly mentions that. Then you have the opportunity to go and meet the guy he sold it to, who's trying to pawn it over in Valvario, and you can try to get it back. If you mention that to Dorian, he's like, "No, absolutely do not. I'm handling it. I do not want you to handle this."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Hey, we got to go to Valvario for something else." Which we did. Legitimately need to go to Valvario for something else. We needed to go to get whole thing. Oh my God. This is going to be a long episode. We've got stuff to talk about. So we did actually have to go to Valvario for something else.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I was like, "Oh, and then we just happen to see this guy, and Dorian, you're with me." And I didn't, I didn't go back behind your back and get it. I brought you here. And the guy is like, "Oh, well, if the Inquisition decides to do me favors, then or whatever."
Sure.
And you can just be like, "I'm sorry, the fuck did you say to me? I'm the Inquisitor. I will kill you if you don't give it back." There are a couple of options. You can be like, "No thanks, never mind, goodbye," and then go to the war table and have Liliana get
nick it. Yeah.
Which Dorian likes.
Yeah.
You can be like, "Sure, okay, the Inquisition will do you a favor. Give me that thing back." And Dorian breaks up with you immediately. It's like,
"Whoa,
you're compromising the Inquisition to do me a favor, and that's unacceptable, and I will not tamper with your reputation, and I will not
Jesus
be with you anymore." But then I chose the middle ground because I'm still a little uncultured. Boss is a little feral still. And he was like, I don't think you understand. I'm the Inquisitor. I will kill you. I have so many people who can kill you and will if I say it. So
give it to me now.
It to me. And he was like, do you want to know box? What color do you want the ribbon? And Dorian's like, that was uncalled for. And then yells at you in Skyhold. But then he's like, but thank you. I did really want that back. And after that, he's like, hey, have you been by your quarters lately? Have you been to your room? You should go check it out. And so then the next time you go to your room, Dorian's there. And he's fucking naked. And he's like, hey, Inquisitor, you want to be a fucking bad Inquisitor? I'm so serious though. He said, how bad does the Inquisitor want to be? You've been God. He's like, you've been fooling around with me all over Skyhold for everyone to see. You've been dallying with the evil Tevinter mage without a care in the world, and you want to get fucking nasty about it. And then you have an option to be like, oh, awkward. Sorry. I didn't mean it. And break up with him. You have an option to be like, yeah, let's fuck. Like,
yeah.
And then you have an option to be like, why don't we take it a little slower?
Mm.
And then you don't have sex, but you just hang out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not a pussy. So, so we fucked. And after we fuck, Dorian is like, so I like your room. I like your decor. I think I would change a few things. Not that I want to change anything. Not that we're moving in together. We're fine. Everything's fine the way it is. And I don't want to change anything in your house. To be clear. And then you're like, what is going on? Are you okay? And he's just like, well, I'm just worried about what comes next. If you want this to just be sex, that's fine, but you got to tell me right now before I get too attached, because I can't be hurt anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? And he tells you that in Tevinter, which we already know from his earlier story, has a homophobia problem, but you find out that like in Tevinter, like because of that, like every relationship with a man that he's ever had has been secret. And any instance of it being more than just a dalliance, more than just friendships, is not possible. And so he's anticipating that you're gonna say yes. And of course I am like, this is, motherfucker, we're dating each other. Like, I don't and he's all shocked, and it's so heartwarming and sweet and vulnerable and sad. And then he's like, oh, you want to fuck again, by the way? And then he says the most backhanded little thing I've ever heard, where he's like, I'll be more specific in my instruction next time. Basically insinuating that I can't top for shit. And I really resent that. Was really bummed about that. So we're officially in a romance.
Very fun.
Walking around. I can't remember his name, but Cole is starting to like read people's minds whenever you're walking around and they have like banter with people. Cole, is always talking about the other companions and little secrets and things that he knows about them all. But he talked about an old boyfriend of Dorian's from back in Tevinter, who Dorian broke his heart because he wasn't allowed to. Yeah,
upsetting.
Very sad.
That is sad.
Anyway, I love him so much. Would actually marry him in real life. Yeah. Speaking of that, though, I said I was in Val Royeaux for another reason, and I was, because we have two different world states happening. I have been searching for Calpurnia, who is seen storming Haven with Corypheus when Haven was attacked.
Oh, sure.
Different person than was with
Yeah.
Corypheus in your playthrough. So Liliana comes up to me and is like, hey, I think I heard wind of Calpurnia and some of her people being in Val Royeaux. I'm going to mark a place on your map. Go check it out. See what you can find.
Yeah.
We go there. We find some papers, some documents, some evidence of her. And then we find a crystal broken in 3 pieces. And the crystal, when I pick it up, has like a little bit of a memory. We hear Calpurnia's voice come out of it for just a second.
Oh.
Bring it back to Skyhold. Dagna's like, you gotta give me that. I'm so psyched to get my hands on it. She puts her little mitts all over it, puts it back together, and determines that it's like this. It's basically like a memory stick. It's like, where they've been recording information. So Liliana's like, hey, crazy idea. What if we get Dagna to break it in 2 and make it like a fucking walkie-talkie? And Dagna's like, that's not even how it works, but I'll do it. That's not even what that magic is. Can't wait. And then she does it because Dagna's the greatest enchanter in all of history.
Crazy.
My
Sandal is right there.
Girl. He wishes. Dagna, baby. Dagna. And so Dagna splits this crystal in 2, turns it into a walkie-talkie, and then Liliana and our team slip it into one of Calpurnia's servants' pockets. So now we are getting transmissions of Calpurnia's plans and plots with Corypheus, and she has no idea.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best.
Nice.
Really excited. Anyway, sorry. What else?
What else? Then I began the quest, went to Crestwood.
Yeah. Right. First step is Crestwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crestwood is one of my favorite quests in the game.
Crestwood's really cool.
Yeah. We've been there.
Have we?
Origins. Right?
I mean, probably, if we're to go there at some point.
Stupid. Hold on.
No, you're probably right. Whilst I was walking around, I was like, this feels like something that might have been popped up in a previous one. But we go there. There's a village and a big, lake. And there is a rift in the lake, and it is making all of the dead slowly shamble out of the lake and into the village or onto land. The village, the rift in the lake, there is like an old elven ruins, I think, is underneath the lake.
I guess we don't go there. Sorry.
No?
Yeah.
And then we've been tasked with killing all the bandits in the dam to to drain the lake, and then we can
the Crestwood mayor tells us that during the 5th blight a bunch of people got infected.
That will be why. Yeah.
And that the Darkspawn flooded the entire city. So what we're actually in is like new Crestwood. There's an old Crestwood hidden
that is
under
underneath the water.
But ever since this has happened, like undead have been crawling up from under the water.
Mm-hmm.
It is the dead of Crestwood.
Yeah, it's creepy. But I didn't do anything with that. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I'll definitely deal with it. But first I have to go meet my friend, because Hawk is like, I have a Grey Warden. Come meet said Grey Warden, and then we can kind of deal with this Corypheus thing, but we can't do it right now. And I'm like, okay. But like, we can't have this Grey Warden just like out and about because of there's a bad situation. I was like, sure. And then whilst wandering around, there's a bunch of Grey Wardens who are just fighting just guys.
Yeah.
You help out the Grey Wardens, and the Grey Wardens are like, oh, thank you. Hey, do you know Alistair? Because I have to kill him and bring him to the current Knight Commander. And you're like, no, I don't know who that is. And then they're like, okay, well, if you find him,
bye.
Yeah. And I was like, interesting, weird. Oh, wait, no, it's not. No, I don't know him. I think you have the option of being like the hero Sir Alistair is the guy who you're looking for. And they're like, yeah, well, he's not a hero anymore because he's doing bad shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, crazy. Then you go and you find Hawk and you're like, hey, Hawk, who's this Grey Warden? And she's like, ba-da-ba. And then Alistair walks out and is like, what's up, gamer? And I'm like, oh shit, what up? I had Solus, Varric, and Blackwall with me because I'm like, Grey Warden quest, Blackwall's got to come, Solus is my boyfriend, and Varric because Hawk is there, so I have to have Varric come with me. And I think I found my crew, which is those three.
Wait, say again who you brought?
Varric, Blackwall, and Solus.
Nice. I brought Varric, Blackwall, and Dorian. Crazy good crew.
Oh yeah.
For this quest. Unbelievable.
Wow.
It was so good.
That's so fun. Because Solus has that's fun because you were playing it next to me and you kept being like, holy shit, this is the best crew that I could have possibly brought. And I thought that you had the same crew because Solus, obviously in the second half of this quest, has the most amount of shit to say ever. He's like, this is his whole thing. So I was like, it must be,
No, don't care.
That's crazy. Damn.
I care about Solus in a lot of quests, and I like to bring him on certain things. This is not one of them. I usually don't bring Varric because I usually spend the whole first game with Varric exclusively, like the whole first half of the game.
Yeah.
That by the time this comes around, I'm trying to mix my party up a little bit. So I've just never, but this time I've been so diligently switching people that I was like, it's time to go back and get
I think
Varric.
This one is because I almost never bring Varric because we are the same to the fact we're both ranged artificer rogues. But I was like, this has Hawk in it. Like he has to come.
It's Hawk.
Like he's got to come and do the damn thing. And that was kind of
Blackwall's Grey Warden and Dorian's my boyfriend. So
there you go. We had the same thing, but our boyfriends are different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, Alice is there, and you talk to Alistair, and you're like, hey, so why are people trying to kill you? And then he reveals that the Grey Wardens are doing a lot of blood magic, and then he fought against it and was like, this is fucking insane and stupid. And then the current Knight Commander was like, oh, cool, kill him, because he's against us and what we're doing. It was fun, because in this conversation, because Blackwall was there, Blackwall, you're like, oh, Blackwall, you're a Grey Warden. Alistair, you're a Grey Warden. Do you know each other? And Alistair is like, no, but Duncan mentioned you a lot. And he's like, oh, I met Duncan. Good man.
Yep. Did you? What year?
Give me a date.
Give me a date.
What's the color of his hair?
Yeah.
How
awesome did he die?
You would know. But
talk to me like no, Duncan.
I spoke to Alistair afterward, and then I'm like, "Oh wow, tell me about the hero for Eldon." And Alistair's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Yeah, he's like, "I'm never gonna fucking."
he's like,
you participate in one blight.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah, we saved the world. It was 10 years ago, lads.
Yes, the hero of Ferelden was cool. That's what he said.
But he says to me, because I'm like, could the hero of Ferelden help? And he's like, no. Because he walks a dark path, and I don't think that he should. And I was like, that's crazy. And he says that to me because he fully is like, he's a good guy and helped us a lot, but he's walking a very dark path, and I don't think that he would.
Wow, he does not say that for every Grey Warden.
Yeah, because I got with Morrigan, left. I joined up with the architect and all this shit, so I can see as to why this whole quest, it felt like this was all pretty strong canon in my world state because it was insane. It's like they're all doing it. The Grey Wardens are all doing blood magic, trying to end the blight, and I was like, this feels like Quinton gave this order, actually, or like Quinton started the stuff doing blood magic.
But then Quentin left and is
and then
no
he
longer
left,
there to talk
and
sense into people.
It's that same loop that's just been exacerbated by time and no one locking in. But you do this, and then you go to the Exalted... Nope, you don't go to the Exalted Plains. You go to the Western Approach.
Yep.
You find a guy who... It turns out that Grey Wardens are like... One Grey Warden has to kill another Grey Warden. That turns that Grey Warden into a demon, and then that demon is tied to the Grey Warden who killed them.
The mages are killing the fighter Grey Wardens.
There you go.
To use their blood magic to summon demons, and then the demons are bound to the mages, which turns them into slaves to Corypheus.
Yeah. Hawk and Alistair are like... First of all, I was saying this to you in private. The characterization of Hawk is so good.
Perfect.
My favorite woman. Holy shit. Because it's... so she... Because in 2, when I was playing Florence, she was like hard red with everyone unless you're in the inner circle, super blue, so kind and loving. I can't believe that they do the exact same thing. She was like hard red, pissed off all the time. Every single time that she would freely speak, she would be angry and pissed off and like be basically yelling at people. Then I came across her talking to Varric, and she was the sweetest woman. She was so nice. I was speaking to her, and she was so kind and like really loving. And I'm like, it's crazy that they did that. Like, that's the level of like,
I know, so
pinpoint. This is who Hawk is. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so fun. Anyway, Hawk and Alistair are like, we're gonna go scout. Then we're gonna tell you what's up, and then
we'll meet you back.
Come meet us.
Because they said that like there might be something going on at Weishaupt, which is like where
the
we went
Ward.
in the Fade. That one time.
Yeah.
In Origins.
Yeah. So they go and they find.
Wait, can we finish Crestwood's thing first?
Yeah.
Because before we move on in this, because after you go and drain the lake.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't do it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
I did it, and then I because I thought draining the lake was the main story. So I got Hawk, and they were like, "Oh, come meet us," and I was like, "Oh, sure, we're gonna go meet, and then we're gonna go."
Got it. Well, never mind. Okay.
No, so I haven't done that yet. I apologize.
Never mind.
Because I thought that sounded like such a big thing that I thought that was the story that we were gonna do. So it was wild that we didn't end up doing that. Then I went back to Skyhold. I went to the gardens and I found Morrigan, my wife.
Yeah.
She is the best. Fell in love with her all over again.
Yeah.
I had 2 big conversations with her. One, which is she says that Skyhold is built on top of an ancient elven city.
Yes.
Which is said the ancient elven city is where they brought the gods down, is what she says. That was their goal of the city in Skyhold. Which is, and I think, and then I put, and Solus just so happened to find this place because it's an ancient elven city and he's obsessed with that. Because I think there's like a conversation whilst running around where someone's like, how did you find Skyhold? And he's like, I just found it. And I was like, yeah, sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Sure, buddy, sure, of course I did.
I was watching the Fade. That's what he says anytime he doesn't want to get caught.
Yeah. The ghosts
I saw it in my deepest journeys through the Fade.
Then I met my son.
Your son.
I met my son.
Your son.
My son. I met Karen, my son, my boy, my child. He is a kind of a weird kid, but is nice.
Yeah.
And Morrigan is a good mum.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's so sick. She is like, okay, dear, go back and study. And then you're like, isn't it weird that he's here? And she was like, no, it's good for him to be around people. I don't want him to be completely cut off from society just because of what he is.
Which is an old god.
Which is an old god. Let us not forget that he is an old god. And that was very sweet, and that was a nice conversation. And then I had another conversation with her when she talks about the hero for Eldon.
Yeah.
She talks about Quentin, and she says, nope, I didn't want to, but I fell in love with him. He is a great man and a very good dad. And I love him very much. And then she's like, she gets really sweet, and she's like, yeah, I love him. He's just like, he's, as I said, he's a really good man. He's a good dad. You know, and he kind of like dropped everything to be with me and help me through my journey. And if I speak any more honeyed words, I'm going to throw up. So we have to stop. But then I like keeps talking to her, and I was like, so what was it like raising, you know, him with, you know, the hero for Eldon, and how is he? And she's like, he is literally the best. And is just all generally very kind. And then I was like, can he help? And she was like, maybe. I mean, he's gonna make fun of me for the rest of time if I ask him for a hand with this. Also, I was like, isn't it hard being away from him? And she's like, I'm not a child. We've been apart for, like, we're adults. We can be apart for an amount of time. It's fine. We'll be together again eventually. Yeah. Which I thought was fun. But then she is like, yeah, I mean, I could ask him. He's gonna make fun of me forever if he helps, but yeah, I can ask. And then you get a little war table thing of get the help with the hero for Eldon. Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking awesome.
And I can't get that.
I know.
Yeah.
R.I.P. in pieces.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. in pieces.
Did you get the little thing where you can walk into the garden and see Alistair talking to her?
No. I did it after and I didn't get it. I was upset because I knew that's what you would... Because I was like, if Alistair is here and Morrigan's here, obviously that's what is going to be. But no, I didn't. I couldn't get it and I was upset by it.
It's possible that he only does that if the hero for Eldon, I don't remember if there's maybe a reason why he didn't.
Is it like if Kieran is his son, you'll see them talking?
Maybe that's the only thing, is if it's his son. I don't know. Maybe it's that.
Yeah, I didn't.
But regardless, I'm glad you met with her and saw your son. That was very important. Morgan has no child for me. She's just rocking up solo.
Yep.
She did talk about the hero for Eldon, about how she was a great person.
Oh.
And how she was she said we left on bad terms and I've regretted that. Devastating.
So I really like... Have you been able to... Because I like that you can talk about the hero for Eldon with Alistair, and you can go in depth with it with Morrigan. Can you do it with Liliana?
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine you can. Because I've talked to her a few times and she doesn't really bring it up.
Yeah, Liliana brings it up to me because...
She's a ghost.
Because she loved the hero for Eldon.
Yeah.
And they were in love with each other. So we talk about that briefly.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Unfortunately, this is where my notes end. Because then I went on
the most enrapturing,
the worst mission of all time.
Excellent. So after you get Alistair, you've met Hawk, you go to Skyhold, and you unlock the actual quest, which is Here Lies the Abyss, which you're basically going to Weishaupt Fortress. Adamant Fortress, not Weishaupt Fortress, to Adamant Fortress to fight. Warden Commander Chlorel is there with all of these wardens who are doing blood magic, and it is seemingly for Corypheus, although it's unclear what the fuck is actually happening. So Cullen is like, you know what? Adamant's an old fortress. We can knock it down easy. It
is definitely fun when because he's like, yeah, it's like it's a great fortress. It's one of the best. Luckily, it was built in ancient times, and modern siege weapons are gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, really great. Love Adamant Fortress. Yeah. Love how weak it is. Yeah. Really excited about how weak it is. And then we snap to one of the best cutscenes in the whole game, where we are laying siege to Adamant Fortress.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's fucking rad.
It's really cool because this is one of the cutscenes that really shows you how different your position as a protagonist is in this than it is in the other two.
Yeah.
Because you have an army and you are storming a fortress. Like, it's so much different to two where you're just a group of guys, and then one where it's like you're just trying your best.
Well, also, not to mention, it shows how juxtaposed this is to you a couple of months ago when Haven got attacked, and you had, 4 guys and one of them supported Logain. Like, you have you have nothing to your name. You have no fortress, no nothing, no weapons. You just bought your first pack of swords. And you are on the back foot, barely surviving.
And now you have a siege weapon with your sigil as the maidenhead of the thing.
You have a whole army carrying your banner. And you break down this door. You lay siege to Adamant Fortress. You break your way inside, and you find out that there's a couple of things happening. One, the people who are like scaling the walls are getting fought back in too high in numbers, and they can't get in. And we need to secure like the battlements. We also hear that there are groups of wardens who are still undergoing this ritual where they're being like blood sacrificed and turned into demons. And we could go and stop that. And then we need to find Warden Commander Chlorel. And so it's cool. You also have Hawk and Alistair with you as like dummy characters. So they're running as NPCs, not in your party, but they're fighting alongside you the whole way up. And they're chatting. Well, it's actually Alistair in the beginning, and then you run into Hawk eventually.
What's crazy about the new rework of Alistair's face is that I thought he was Cullen for way too long, because they have a very similar face.
How dare you? He's so handsome.
So is Cullen, and they have the same face.
No, they don't.
They have the same face.
Cullen looks stupid. And Alistair looks good. And
well, they have the same face, and so many times I was like, oh, that's cool that Cullen's here. And then he would speak, and I'm like, I feel like I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's not Cullen's voice. He wasn't doing enough quips to be Alistair. Silly little bits.
Well, now Alistair and Hawk are bickering, and they've been bickering since we meet them at that other fortress too, because it's like Hawk is sick of fucking blood magic.
Yeah.
She's like, this is outstanding. I cannot believe that the Grey Wardens are using blood magic. Like, they're done. They're cooked. The Grey Wardens are so useless.
And she's met 2 Grey Wardens, one of them which is Nathaniel, which was in the Deep Roads, maybe optionally. One who is Anders, who blew everything up. So she's like, I actually fucking hate Grey Wardens right now.
She's pretty pissed about it.
We actually don't need Grey Wardens, and they suck.
Yeah. And she's like, and Alistair is like, they're brainwashed. They're bewitched by this. Like, it's not their fault. So they are bickering about it. But as we go through the battlements, we find these, the mages are a lost cause. They're completely, tied to Corypheus. But some of the fighters are not yet, and you find them, and you have the option to be like,
pull back or surrender
to the Inquisition, or to be like, go get the fuck out of here.
Which is weird because they're kind of the same option.
Not really.
Surrender. One is like,
surrender to us. You're property of the Inquisition right now until we figure out what to do with you. You can't be trusted. Or get yourself
help
to safety or help and stuff.
Which is what I did. I did the safety one.
Yeah. So you do that, and then you go to confront Warden Commander Chlorel, who is with the spooky mustache man that you met at the other place. And she is convinced that. So what the Grey Wardens have been convinced of, we find out that Corypheus put the calling into their heads, made them all hear it, made them all believe that they were going to die imminently. It caused a panic, and the Grey Wardens went looking for anyone who could help them figure out what's happening. And in their pursuit of help, they just so happened to meet Corypheus, who is like, hey, don't worry. It's actually, they don't meet Corypheus. They meet the other mustache guy, man, who I forget his name, who Corypheus has instructed. And he tells them that, hey, don't worry. I know something that we can do. We're going to cure ourselves, and we're going to preemptively stop all blights from happening ever again, because we're going to go into the deep roads like while the archdemons are sleeping, and we're going to end them before they wake up. And we're just never going to need people to suffer from this ever again. And the Grey Wardens, being desperate and scared, are like, okay, I guess that's worth a little bit of blood magic. The hero Ferelden did so much blood magic, apparently. So that's what we find out is happening. But Warden Commander Clarel is like about to kill another Grey Warden and open up
a rift.
And you have the opportunity to say some stuff at her. What do you do?
I didn't say stuff at her. I said, hey, Blackwall, say stuff at her. And then Blackwall says stuff at her. Which
I also had Blackwall say.
Like, my thing is, if I ever have the option of asking another member of the party to do it, Helwyn does that every time, because she doesn't want to be here. She's too scared. Blackwall gives a very good speech about being a Grey Warden. I love him very much. And then
he does.
And then she, the Knight Commander, not the Knight Commander. I keep saying that. The
Warden Commander.
The Warden Commander is like, what? And then the guy's like, mustache man. He's like, fine. Here's a fucking gift from Corypheus, and then a fucking the archdemon turns up, the giant rotting dragon, and then
Clarel says, Corypheus, but he's dead. Because the Wardens were there when we killed him the first time.
And also haven't been reading the news, apparently. And then the big dragon turns up, and then Clarel's like, okay, cool. So we fucked up. I'm gonna kill this guy, this mustache man. And they have a wizard fight.
They have a wizard fight.
They have a cool wizard fight.
And she starts shooting the dragon. Crazy. Her little tiny baby laser pew-pews hitting the
a very
dragon.
Fun thing that happened. So you have a thing where you have to close a rift. You need to like kill a bunch of Grey Wardens and demons. The dragon is like swooping down and taking pot shots at you. I did my ultimate on like a point, and the dragon swooped down and died as it was swooping, and then just like clipped out, where it swooped down and then disappeared. And for the rest of the fight and like running up the battlements, because it does stuff like it lands in the battlements and then pokes its head in and breathes fire. It wasn't there, only its fire was. So I would be walking around, and then all of a sudden I couldn't move forward. There'd be my screen would shake, and then a jet of fire would just move around like this lightning fire because I killed it. Accidentally killed
really
it.
Funny. That's pretty funny.
Which I thought was fun. And it's a shame because I've said that Helwyn isn't like in canon, she's not like the greatest fighter. She is arguably probably the strongest member of the heroes so far, because she's crazy. I'm casually walking around closing rifts and fighting mini bosses and doing all this shit. So I was 2 levels higher than the recommended levels for this mission, and I was walking in and I was decimating everything. She's the strongest.
I'm like 2 levels below.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I get for playing it all the time.
I haven't been able to.
Yeah, of course.
This last week was the time that I played it the most of any of the weeks.
And this week was the week I played it the least. I literally finished it today. I finished it like an hour or two before, and about an hour before you got in, actually, from work. I finished my thing.
Okay,
so then you climb up the battlements.
because she runs after Mustache Man,
and you're chasing her.
You're chasing her, who's chasing him, to try to get like
to be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, exactly. It is epic. The dragon like swoops in and
then the
and
pair
has
of them
a health bar, so it's like you're fighting the dragon, you're shooting it in the head while it's like breathing fire and like interrupting you and shit. And then you keep running, you get up to the battlements, and Warden Clarel is screaming at Mustache Man that he ruined the wardens, that he's defiled this institution, and he's like, ha ha ha, you wanted it all along, or whatever. And the archdemon, Corypheus's dragon, is there and looking terrifying and is trying to attack you. Warden Commander Clarel hits this guy, and then the dragon eats her. Grabs her by the body, flies her up to a tower, and then chucks her body.
And like shakes her like a dog, and then throws her down. Yeah.
She's barely alive, but then the dragon's coming to attack you all, and she says the phrase.
Yes, yeah.
In war victory and peace vigilance, in death sacrifice, and she then blows up all her magic in the underbelly of the dragon.
And then the dragon like screams and is smoking and then doesn't die, right? Just flies away.
The dragon like falls off of this cliff, breaking all of the stone, and the stone starts to collapse, and all of you in another 2 for 2 epic cutscene.
This is really fucking
are
sick.
Trying to scramble to get up before the bridge starts to collapse, barely making it, not making it at all, as it does collapse under you at the last minute. You all start to fall, and the Inquisitor, in like an instinctual moment, instead of letting everyone die, points his hand down at the ground and opens up a rift for us all to fall into, and we fall into the Fade.
It's really fucking sick.
And now we're physically in the Fade. In other games, we've been to the Fade, but we've never been there physically. We've been like put there in our minds, in the dream state. We're here physically in the Fade, and we can kind of like what Solus has been talking about. We can like travel. We can go through it and like kind of move through actual space and time while we're here. Funny comments from everybody. Hawk is hilarious about it. Alistair's hilarious about it.
Oh, that's funny.
They're so funny to me.
That's funny that Hawk's funny, because she's obviously not funny for me.
Oh, she's so funny
because you're a purple.
Yeah, I'm a purple Hawk.
There's also, you're also right outside the Black City.
Yes.
Like the Black City.
Yeah.
Where Corypheus is trying to get to, and you're just like, oh, here we are. Whoops.
Dorian's like, yeah, I went to the Fade when I first got my magic, and yeah, there was a desire demon who was trying to fuck me.
No, that's fun.
It was great.
Oh, that's true. I've been to the Fade.
Yep.
Physically.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. Because you said in previous games we haven't been to the Fade physically, but I, as a mage warden, have physically been to the Fade before. Because that's the first mission.
It's still not physically. That's in your mind as well. That's why you get made tranquil if you become at risk during that. They just cut off your connection to the Fade. And
I thought it was
instantly
you were physically.
So Dorian is also talking about the same thing. He was never there physically. He was there in his mind.
Okay.
We determined through that conversation that this is different. This is us being here in physical space. We can like walk and move around. It's, and
it's cool because the cutscene starts with everyone on different like x-axes.
Yeah,
so someone is standing upside down, 2 people are standing on walls, and you're standing on the floor.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It is really cool. So now walking around this area of the Fade, super cool, super creepy. One of the first things you see is Divine Justinia, who reveals to you that she was the one who helped you get out of the Fade, not Andraste. But also, is she Divine Justinia? Because Divine Justinia clearly died is she a ghost of divine Justinia? Is she a memory of her, an echo, a spirit that's just taken her form, whatever, what have you? All of these things come up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you are like, well, there's the rift that is at Adamant Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
That's our way back to our people. We got to get there. And you're like, cool, no problem. Except then a voice starts to badger you.
A fear demon. Or the fear demon.
The nightmare demon.
The nightmare demon.
Yeah. Who is terrifying and is, tormenting you.
Yeah.
But as you go through this, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's mirrors that give you some extra little permanent buffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are fears that you can find. And when you quell those fears, you get
another permanent buff. Yeah. And if you get all 5 of them, you get a little gift.
You do.
You get a little fun little gift at the end.
Yeah.
It's neat. This whole
from the Dreamer.
We love a good Dragon Age Fade permanent buff quest, which is it's the fun little consistent that they have. Whenever you go to the Fade, you're going to get stuff permanently buffed on your body.
Yeah.
It's neat. You cycle through your own memories and the stuff that you forgot. You have a memory of when you broke into the Chantry, and then you saw Corypheus and Divine Justinia doing stuff, and it's because you broke in, Corypheus turns to you and is like, who the fuck is this? And then the Divine knocks the orb out of his hand, and it rolls towards you. You grab it, and then that's what attaches the anchor to you and blows up the whole thing. Which is fun. The Nightmare Demon talks to you and says a whole bunch of fears to everyone.
So you, as you're walking, and before you get to that, even as you're doing these little quests in the meantime, there are a bunch of spiders about.
Yeah.
And in one of those fights with the spiders, somebody is
Blackcall to me it was. Oh no, it would be. I think it was Solus being like, "Oh, look at these lesser fear demons," and then you're like, "And they look like spiders." And then Blackcall to me was like, "They did not look like spiders to me." And Solus is like, "Well, it's fear, so it takes on what." Yeah.
What you can do is when you're fighting those spiders, if you hit your right joystick, it's the thing that locks you on to an enemy in this game so that you can auto target them. And when you do that, it shows the name of the enemy at the top. And so each spider is named a different thing. And it'll be the dark or corruption. There's a ton of them. Corruption, death, the blood magic. There's tons and tons of them. And my favorite one is, of course, there's one that says, ironically, spiders.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's really good. It's a good little bit. One moment, because I had something and I need it to.
I saw that you became immediately deep in thought.
Because these are so good, I don't want to miss them. So, as you're traveling and completing these things, as you get closer and closer to the Nightmare Demon and unlock things about your life, the Nightmare Demon starts to try to activate fears in people. Because Alistair is there for both of us. He says, "Did the king's bastard think he could prove himself? It's far too late for that. Your whole life you've left everything to more capable hands. The archdemon, the throne of Ferelden. Who will you hide behind now?"
And then Alistair says my favorite line, which is, "Morrigan's told me worse. This is nothing."
This is nothing. Incredible.
Very funny.
To Blackwall, which is my favorite. There's nothing like a Grey Warden, and you are nothing like a Grey Warden.
Yeah.
Oh,
very good.
Monstrous.
Very good.
Incredible. Let's see. Dorian, who I had, it says, "Greetings, Dorian. It is Dorian, isn't it? For a moment, I mistook you for your father." Ooh. Dorian is like, "Oh, is that all?" It's very, very, very good. Who else did you have?
I had Varric and Solus.
Solus, which I did not have. Solus says Dirth Ma Harelin, Ma Banal and Celine, Mar Solas, Enna Mardine, which means, I know you, trickster. That was no victory. Your pride will be your death.
Ooh.
You know, then. Varric, who we both had with us, says, once again, Hawk is in danger because of you. Varric, you found the red lyrium, and you brought Hawk here.
Brutal.
Oof! Oof!
And then Hawks is, are you worried it'll never be enough?
Yes, Hawk says, did you think you mattered, Hawk?
That's it.
Did you think anything you did, anything you ever did mattered? You couldn't even save your city. How could you expect to strike down a god? Fenris is gonna die, just like your family and everyone you ever cared about, he said.
Because mine was Anders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So absolutely delicious. I don't know if we said this, but there is a possibility that it, depending on your origins world state, Alistair won't be there, and it will be Loghain.
Yes.
And this is so relevant, I'll never play it, so I'm going to say what Loghain's is, because I think it's real good. Turn Loghain Mactyr, the brilliant commander. Pity the one time you tried to rule, you failed so miserably. You had to be beaten, humiliated, lest you destroy your own country. You even doomed the wardens by bringing the Inquisitor down on them. You destroy everything you touch.
Damn.
Awful.
Love that.
You come across a graveyard at one point.
Love the graveyard.
Where everybody's fear is written there. Sarah's is the nothing.
Yeah, the nothingness. Black Walls is himself. Solus is dying alone. Love him. Love my boy.
Yeah.
We've got Vivienne's is it's something like, it's something to do with like insignificance.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember more of them. But yeah, no, it's good.
It's beautiful.
It's cool.
And so eventually you get to confront the nightmare, which is a
two-story fucking.
It's like a 2-story high spider demon, but then like a magical, like horrible demon with like like predator face kind of. Cool thing.
Awesome.
It's a tough fight. I know you were over leveled, but I was under leveled. It's a tough fight.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
It was a bit of a toughie even for me. But I had the joy of I'm an artificer, so I just placed mines everywhere, and then every single time it tried to teleport behind me and trick me, it would hit a mine of mine and just like be like and then run away. Because I'm also I have an item that throws caltrops behind me all the time, so it was like I'm gonna do a sneaky little trick, and then would teleport behind me, get hit by my mine, and then be hitting by my little floor spikes, and it was like no, this went better in my head. And then I would do my cool rogue huge backflip, hit him with a million arrows, and then keep shooting him. And and this was also the moment, mechanics talk, this is also the moment when I realized that my long shot ability, which I've really not liked for this whole game, is my strongest thing.
It's awesome. Long shot,
because I've upgraded it to where I get 900% weapon damage if I'm 25 meters away, which is easy to do. And I was doing casual like 2,000 damage to everything if I'm X amount of distance away. And because another ability that I had, which has kind of been my best one, is my opening shot. Like if an enemy has above 80% health, it does like crazy damage. but because I can only do that on my opening thing, but I can use long shot constantly. I'm now working to switching out the long shot.
Yeah.
Because also my explosive arrow is now upgraded. I have poisoned weapons now, so
brilliant.
All of my shit does so much damage. And then I have a million mines that I can throw it in front of me if it works and doesn't go off into the distance forever. And then I also have the mine that I can put on the ground that refreshes within seconds.
Yeah.
And so Helwyn is truly almost like unkillable, and it's great. Yeah.
Fun battle mechanics talk as well. One is that Dorian, because Dorian joined me late, Dorian joined the Inquisition right when we unlocked the specialization. So Dorian already had his specialization unlocked. So I wound up starting him off with the full necromancer kitted out, like right off the bat almost. So now since he's been leveling up, so like for me, boss started with a full fire. He's got every fire spell unlocked, and now has just started to tick open the necromancer spots and is moving through that. And so Dorian is now learning fire magic and has a couple little fire spells. We do a thing because Dorian's teaching boss time magic. So we both have a very special focus ability, which allows us to slow down time for just the party. So Dorian does it. It ends. I do it.
Oh, shit.
We just win the fights.
Clean up.
We clean up those fights. It's crazy good. The enemies are moving at a glacial pace, and we just hit them with bombs and bombs and bombs and bees and fire. And it's awesome.
That's fucking great.
It's so good. So despite it being tough, it was a fun fight.
Yeah.
Right before that spider thing, right before this fight, the spirit of or visage of Divine Dulcinea deals a big blow to it so that we don't have to fight them both together. And she says, "Tell Liliana I failed her too." And then she disappears into a ball of light and hurts the big spider demon thing. Then at the end, it's like, okay, it's dead. We see the rift. Let's fucking go, boys. And we all start running. Everybody moves and runs ahead. And Hawk and me and Alistair get stuck and get confronted by that big fucking spider, jumps in our way. And there's no path forward.
And the worst decision in any game ever happens, where Hawk is like, I can do it. Someone needs to lead the Grey Wardens. Alistair, you go. And Alistair's like, fuck doing that. I'm a Grey Warden.
It's our fault.
I'm going to do this. And then you have to pick who stays behind and dies. It's either Hawk or Alistair.
Who did you do? I think I know, but
this genuinely took me. This was the longest click.
It took me a minute too this time.
This was really tough. So think all the way back to a young little rapscallion on the city streets of Kirkwall who exclusively did everything selfish. I don't give a fuck what happens outside as long as me and my people are safe. That's all I care about. I don't care if people start storming the city. I don't care if there's this great overarching death demon thing. I don't care about the Arishtok trying to take over. My people are in danger. That's what I care about. As soon as my people are good, they can do whatever they want. And then, confronted now with this giant thing ending the world, she's made a lot of mistakes. She allowed Anders to walk free and then ended up getting all of Kirkwall fucked. Yep. She finally decided to do the first thing, which was truly selfless and for the rest of the world, and decided to, she was like, Hawk said that she's going to stay behind because Anders has to lead the Grey Wardens. They've butted heads a lot, but she believes that he can do it. And this is a thing for everyone. And it's she all intents and purposes, she's also is like, I've got a bit of an ego. If something's going to kill this and Alistair stays, Alistair's probably going to die. I can hold this thing off, though, because I killed the Aristoc in single combat. I'm a fucking amazing fighter. I'd be able to take it. So I had Hawk stay behind, which is fucking devastating, because you leave the Fade, and then Varric's like, hell yeah.
Where's Hawk?
Hey, where's Hawk?
He says it twice.
Yeah.
Where's Hawk?
Yeah. And then I was like, she stayed behind. And then it was just Varric greatly disapproves, and he doesn't say anything. He just leaves.
Walks away.
He just leaves. His best friend ever in the world is dead, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah. It's crazy when you are like heading to the war room right before this. Varric is not in his spot anymore. He's in the hallway right outside the war room with Hawk, and they're just
shooting the shit and chatting. And that was the time when I was like, man, this is so great, because they're just like, she's so kind to him, and they're just best friends, just shooting the shit and talking and just having a laugh, and it's so nice. And then afterward, I went back to Skyhold, and then.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
So I also chose Hawk to stay. But I find your explanation so interesting. Because for me, for Boss, it was just what Hawk said made the most sense. Yeah, no, somebody's going to have to get a handle on the Grey Wardens. Like, we can't not have Grey Wardens.
Yeah.
There are blights. They happen. So like, that's just what has to be the case. But for my Hawk, for Ash, that's one more sacrifice. That's one more loss. That's all we are, is just losing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I hated it. And that there's a little bit that we'll go back to, because I do want to talk about going back to Skyhold, because then then you talk to Varric.
Yeah.
And he just starts telling a story about Hawk.
Yeah.
And then you have the option to hug him, which I did.
I did too.
And then you hug him, and then he keeps telling the story, and he cracks up, he starts tearing up. And then I just fully started crying. Yeah. I'm getting emotional now. Yeah. It's so sad. Yeah. It's like, this guy he doesn't even want to be here, dude. And his nightmare, as you were saying, is the nightmare demon is like, you put Hawk in more danger, and Hawk fucking dies because of a thing that Varric does. And it's like, yep. That must, and he tells this story, and then afterwards is like, I never told them that, and I always wanted to. And it's like, buddy, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry that your best friend ever has just died, and it is kind of your fault a little bit. Yeah, because you brought them here. Yeah, I hate it.
When I choose Hawk faces down the rest of the Nightmare Demon to let us pass. She says, Tell Varric I'm sorry. And then she faces down the Nightmare Demon. And then she whispers, I'm so sorry, Fenris.
Oh, God.
And...
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I'm going to fucking kill myself. I hate it so much. It's so upsetting. I literally can't do it. And I really sat there because I knew about this decision coming up, and I had already kind of made the decision that I was going to have Hawk do it, but I was sat there being like, how can I make it make more sense that Alistair stays behind? How? Because then I was like, I mean, Alistair, his whole thing is that he was going to sacrifice himself for the Grey Wardens anyway, and he kind of wants to do this, that's kind of his thing, is that he's a very self-sacrificial guy. But
he is, yeah.
And it's like, well, then that makes sense. The fact that he would want to do it.
He's also tired of fighting. I think there's a lot of valid like things. Like he's been fighting for a lot longer than Hawk. He's been fighting, since the start of the 5th Blight.
And he has a timer on him already.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, it would make sense for it not to be Hawk, but for some reason I was like, it just makes sense. It makes sense that they would be the one to just be like, fuck it.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep. If the Grey Warden is Stroud, he dies instantly in every playthrough.
Oh yeah, because who cares about him?
Cares about Stroud. If it is Logain, that's also an interesting.
That is an interesting one. Yeah.
Between Hawk and Logain. So then we get back out, and the Wardens who've teamed up. Well, for me, the Wardens teamed up with the Inquisition because I saved a bunch of them.
Yeah, so they teamed up with me as well.
Yeah. So everybody is like, "What the fuck do we do now?" Varric obviously walks away. He's upset. And
then Varric's card changes as well, and it is Varric leaning defeated on his crossbow on Bianca, whilst the background is a bunch of like wailing, screaming shadows. It's so fucking upsetting.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's really bad.
It's pretty rough. The tarot cards are such a good.
They're great
element of this game.
Yep.
So now the Grey Wardens are like, oh, what do we do? Alistair is now the senior most Grey Warden, and what's going to happen? So now you have a choice on what to do with the Grey Wardens, because you can banish them from Ferelden. I believe.
Oh yeah, you banish them to Orlais.
You can, I think, conscript them to the Inquisition, or you can Or I think that's it.
Those are the two, yeah.
Those are the two options. You can conscript them to the Inquisition.
But the fear of conscripting them is that they are so susceptible to corruption. Because they've already shown it. And Corypheus, I mean, even in DA2, like, he was able to control Anders.
Because they have Archdemon blood in them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So he can just control them. So it's like, you can conscript them, and that's... like, hell yeah, you have a bunch of some of the best fighters that all of Thedas knows. However, you have a bunch of people who could be in the middle of a crowd, turn around and start slaughtering all of your people.
So what did you do?
I conscripted them into
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that you didn't, because you didn't make Blackwall a Grey Warden.
What?
You said you didn't make Blackwall a Grey Warden. You made him promise to
put himself to the Inquisition. Oh, I took that option as not that at all. I took the option of hand him over to the Grey Wardens, as in, I'll let the Grey Wardens figure out what to do with you, not I'm going to turn you into a Grey Warden, because otherwise I would have done that immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay. I figured you didn't do it because the only way you get that option is if the Grey Wardens are still with you. If you've sent the Grey Wardens away, you don't get that option even.
Oh, that's bonkers upsetting. I truly did not read that as what that was. That sucks. Okay. Man, I hate the mini options. That has riled me up so much just then.
I'm so sorry.
Those tiny, like... Because it was just like, hand them over to the Grey Ones, which doesn't fucking mean anything. It's like, I thought, get rid of him. And then, like, he goes over to the Grey Ones and they figure out what to do with him. And I was like, I still want him in the Inquisition.
Yeah. But there's, like, dialogue after, I think, where it's like, I will as soon as this is over. Like, I'm happy to. But this fight needs me out. Like, let me stay here.
Which would be great if it... Because sometimes... it gives you, like, you hover over the small, and then it gives you the full thing.
Yeah.
For choices like that, that's what I want.
Yeah,
for things when it comes to party members, it's like, it's the same with the giblet thing. They're like, what's it called? Giblet? And I was like, what is a giblet? What does that mean? And then it's like, put them in the stocks. And it's like, I didn't say that, though, did I? I asked what a giblet was. That's ridiculous. Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. And I can't because I saved it, and there's no auto-saving in this.
Yeah.
Or there's like one autosave. It's not like Skyrim where you have like 10 autosaves.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be. Oh, I'll find out.
So we both have the Grey Wardens with us. Wildly unpopular decision. So many people
Nobody
don't like
likes it. Even Varric is... I mean, of course, Varric's pretty pissed because Torch just died. So he's like, okay.
A bunch of people are upset about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But, which makes sense. Blackall loves it. But, I mean, it makes sense for everyone to be super pissed because they can easily be corrupted and we just fought them for ages.
Yeah.
They just, like, killed a bunch of our guys. And then you're like, come join us. And they're like, why, though? Yeah.
I like the option where it's like, go be high risk in Orlais.
It would be fun to be like, yeah, join us, but go be in Orlais, please. Like, fight for us that side of the pond. Like, don't come to Skyhold, please. Yeah. I'd rather you stay there.
Alistair then goes, so now the Wardens aren't hearing the calling anymore. So Alistair goes to leave and goes to Weishaupt to inform the rest of the Wardens what's happened and to get control because now he's Warden Commander.
Yeah.
And he says, tell Morgan, just tell her I stood there looking foolish.
Yeah.
Great little...
Because they love each other.
They love each other.
They love each other.
They love each other.
I genuinely think that Morrigan would admit it. I don't think Alistair would ever admit.
No, I think that's true.
I think, but she would. She'd be like, "Yeah, I like him."
Yeah. But, yeah. In the world state where Alistair does father the old god baby.
Yeah.
And they have that little dialogue in the garden. You don't interact with them. You just kind of walk by and overhear them talking. And he is timidly just like, so how is he? Like, and like, does he know about me? And she says, he knows that his father was a great man.
Oh, God.
It's...
I ship it like crazy, dude. It's so stupid. If I wasn't there, I ship the pair of them like absolutely nonsense. I love them so much.
We love a couple who hate each other.
We love a couple who hate each other.
Good.
Because she doesn't hate him. She doesn't. She's just like that.
She just is that way.
She's just like that. She doesn't hate him. But he does not like her. But then he also kind of does at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't at all.
Yeah.
He brings her up constantly.
Yeah. I find it really funny that Alistair is like, oh, Morgan, like, and is like, you know, wow, let me go talk to her. And also like, let me like mentions her several times. Liliana meets Morgan at the Winter Palace and is like, we cannot trust that bitch. I just want you to know. I spent
hates her.
5 years with her. We can't trust her.
Yeah.
I want you watching her like a hawk.
Yeah.
The second she arrives.
It's no secret that Liliana fucking hates Morrigan. I mean, in Origins, she called her an old hag. She like fucking hates her. Yeah.
However, the dress that Morrigan is wearing
is exactly what Liliana wants her to dress up.
For her.
I'm telling you, right. I love Morrigan so much.
I know.
Because she does love that whole party.
Yeah.
Like, she loves everyone in Origins because she's just never had friends and doesn't know how to be a human.
Exactly.
But,
she just exists like that.
She just exists like that. And then when they're awful to her, she's like, yeah.
My
Those are my best friends.
My best friends.
Those are my best friends in the whole wide world, actually. And Liliana's like, yeah, I fucking hate that bitch.
Yeah,
I hope she dies.
Hate her.
I can't believe she's not dead, actually.
We can't trust her, and we shouldn't trust her.
Hey, there's a mission on the war table. It's called Liliana Kills Morrigan. I fucking hate her. Kill her. Actually.
Yeah. Unbelievable opposites dynamic that's happened there.
Oh, speaking of war table and Liliana, I got a bunch of stuff for Zevran, which I thought was fun.
Oh, yes.
Zevran, and then I sent, because Cullen is like, because Zevran is like, hello, I killed one of your assassins. I am so sorry. This is Zevran, by the way. And then you can send Josephine. Josephine's like, I know who the fuck this guy is, but we got to cut him off. Cullen's like, he killed one of our assassins. Send a bunch of people there to kill him. And Liliana's like, oh my god! Zevran! Hi! and then I obviously waited for my Liliana mission to be done, and then I sent Liliana, and then afterwards, the little thing is Zevran being like, oh my god, hi! and then I sent Liliana again, and she's like, I'm gonna get him to be our friend, because he's great.
We love him. hate Morgan,
hate
but
Morgan.
loves Everett.
Oh my god, I absolutely love everyone who was in my team when we were saving the Grey Warden, except for that skank.
Fucking skank Morgan.
And then Morgan is there being like, I love this team. It's so good to be home.
You designed that one time we spoke 2 months into knowing each other.
Yeah. Do you remember that thing you told me 15 years ago? I made it.
I made that dress.
What
I wear it
about?
to every party.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I fucking hate you. I hope you die. Yes, aim.
Yeah.
That's stupid
incredible.
one.
But Alistair gets it.
Alistair gets it. Because Alistair
her.
is crushing on Morrigan pretty hard and actually loves her.
He actually misses being made fun of that brutally. No one does it like her.
Yeah, because it's one of the things where when someone shows you all of their cards, there's nothing to hide behind. And Alistair is so anxious constantly, but he doesn't have to be anxious with Morrigan because if she doesn't like something he does, she'll say it to his face.
Yeah.
And then also, he knows that if he ever needs to lash out, he can do it at Morrigan, and Morrigan won't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just like with the "I hate you so much."
So good.
It's my favorite line.
Before we move to the post of Here Lies the Abyss, I want to read the other fear.
Please do.
Things from people or for people. Cassandra's is, your Inquisitor is a fraud, Cassandra. Yet more evidence that there is no maker, that all your faith has been for naught. Oh, which is a good point, because in the memories we get, so there are different ways you can interpret the mark. Boss has been from the get-go, I'm not divine, I'm not touched by the divine, I don't believe in the divine, this is magic, and you're all being silly. But you can obviously have a lot of different opinions about that. In these memories, it is proven to you that the mark is not a gift from God. It is purely an accident of magic. And that's confirmed. So was that any... how has Helwyn been...
Helwyn knows that it's not divine based, but I think she's kind of kind about it.
She's been allowing people to play into the...
Yeah, because it's like, if this makes you feel better, we're in war, so I don't really care what you feel. It's like, if you need to believe that I'm sent from God to do it, if it makes you feel better, let's do
that. Cole's is, are you afraid, Cole? I can help you forget, just like you help other people. We're so very much alike, you and I. Iron Bulls is, the Canary will make a lovely host for one of my minions, or maybe I will ride his body myself.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is what Iron Bull's biggest fear is, losing his mind. Because that's what the re-educators do to you. In Canary. Sarah's is, Sarah, if you shoot an arrow at me, I'll know where you are. We did Vivienne's. What's it like living as an apostate, Vivienne? Do you really think you'll reclaim your power in the circle at your age?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Stroud's is Warden Stroud, because we know nothing about this guy anymore. How must it feel to devote your whole life to the Wardens only to watch them fall, or worse, to know that you were responsible for their destruction? When the next blight comes, will they curse your name? If you don't romance anybody as Hawk, instead of saying Fenris is going to die just like your family and everyone you ever cared about it, he says you're a failure and your family died knowing it.
Jesus Christ.
Which is fucked.
That's fucking brutal.
Fucked up. Yeah, so fuck the Nightmare Demon.
Yeah, this is a great mission.
Great.
This is a really strong
one. It's
one.
Really great.
This really solidifies that every main mission in this game is peak.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's not we're back to Origin's quality of individual missions.
Yes.
Of like,
absolutely.
The actual mission is so sick. I mean, yeah, we've done like 5 of them, and they've all been top of its game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Okay, so from here, you talk to Varric. So you talk to him, he tells the story about Hawk.
Yeah.
But then if you talk to him again, he's like, I gotta write some letters.
Yeah.
So if you could leave me alone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, I should be the one to tell Fenris, which fucking...
Yeah, which sucks for you. It didn't happen to me. I mean, Hawk obviously doesn't talk about Fenris in mine. She talks about Anders. I can't remember what she says, but it's clearly a two people going through a divorce line, which I think is just the best. But Varric also doesn't mention Anders because he doesn't like Anders. So it's like, Anders will find out by letter, I bet.
Yeah.
Also, don't you teach Fenris how to read? Did I learn that somewhere? I thought...
yes.
Yeah.
I think that does happen, yeah.
Yeah. It just... Because I
forgot about that.
Years ago, I remember seeing something about this choice and someone saying, like, how fucking brutal is it that Hawk teaches Fenris how to read only for Fenris to read about how Hawk died.
Yeah.
And that sucks and fuck you. And
yeah.
It's a fucking awful thing.
There's also a thing, we can just talk about choices. So your hero of Ferelden survived but went to go live with Morrigan and is doing something that not every hero of Ferelden does.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not what's happening, your hero of Ferelden is actually researching a way.
He still is.
Oh, he is.
Because Morrigan talks about it, and Morrigan's like, I can I'll ask him where he is in research, and that's that's why I'm like, can you ask him for help? And then she's like, oh yeah, he's trying to figure out how to stop the blight because Fiona did it, and he's better than Fiona.
He's not trying to stop the blight. He's trying to cure the calling.
Cure the calling.
So that wardens don't have to experience that.
Or just get rid of the taint.
Yeah. So, so that's where the warden is. If you are I've always imagined if you are a warden who had romanced Alistair and Alistair dies in the Fade, you come back up from the deep roads with a cure for the blight that you went to get so that you could stay with Alistair longer. God. And you get a fucking pigeon. You get a fucking raven with a note.
My God, this game is fucking brutal. This game is so upsetting.
Wretched.
I hate it.
Awful.
This is a particularly so we opened today's episode with saying this is when I was bought out of the game, and I was bought out because this is a hideous choice.
History.
This is a crazy choice.
So much history in it.
Yeah. That spans every single game and is the craziest thing in the world. But you still feel how big of a decision this is, even if you don't know any of the people.
I agree.
And it is like, because I was like, well, I don't care anymore. And then I fully like, because I was half bought out when Hawk came in, and then I did this, and I was like, I like bits of this are fun, but I don't know these people. This choice is easy because I don't know who either of them are. But doing it this time, this was one of the most brutal things I've ever experienced in a role-playing game.
It's really rough.
Truly, I was actually mad at it. I had to think about, like, is this shock value writing? Because I was so upset at the fact that either your best friend from 1 or you from 2 is the choice of people who are going to die.
Yeah.
It's similar to oh gosh, there's another thing that happens in this game which kind of
I think there is also like a tendency to sacrifice Hawk, because I think that a lot of people feel easier about sacrificing yourself than sacrificing your best friend.
Yeah.
Or like your lover if you went that route with him.
I did definitely I do definitely think that it makes sense for Alistair specifically. Yeah. Because you also were saying that if you bring Alistair to the Archdemon fight, he will fight to be the person who he'll argue with you. Yeah,
he'll try to.
And I think like if you were to bring him, have that argument, and ultimately win, then it makes more sense for Alistair to be like, no, I failed in sacrificing myself once. I refuse to do it again. And it's literally the exact same fight. It's like if this was a TV show, it would be side by side. It's the same argument. Like parallels are crazy of him saying no, but this time I have to do it because my best friend died. And which is what's upsetting to me when he was like, oh yeah, he walks a dark path, because it's like, it's true, but it's also like, oh man, they were best friends and he had to cut him off because he was like, no, he's doing a lot of stuff I just don't like, but he's my best friend.
Yep.
Yeah. But then Morrigan's there and she's like, he's one of the greatest people in the world ever that's ever existed. I love him so much.
Yeah.
She giggles like a schoolgirl.
Oh my God. Speaking of tangentially, so many people have opinions about me studying necromancy. Everyone's got opinions.
Not a single person cares about artificery. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Varric, who we have the same conversation over and over and over again, and I can't get out of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's literally, I open it and he's like, so 3 eyes, huh? And I have the same 4 options. And then I'm always like, yeah, I wish I could build Bianca one day. And he's like, yeah, maybe one day. And then it moves on to the next conversation topic. But every conversation I have with Varric starts the exact same way.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's pain in the ass. But yeah, go on, necromancy.
Cassandra, who's from Navarra, where necromancy was invented. She talks about it, and she seems like she's going to be judgmental, but she's like, nah, it's cool. I mean, people in Navarra get really into it. Some people get really, really into it. Like, can you just not have corpses around? Because embalming fluid smells terrible. Thank you. Don't remind me of my uncle. Like, it's super interesting. She's just like, no, I'm annoyed by necromancy.
She has a great scene when you come back from the Fade.
Yes.
She's like trying to write letters, and she's like, looks like a fucking child.
She's trying to write the history, like she's trying to write a log of what happened.
Yeah.
And she's like, I write like a 6-year-old.
Yeah. And she gets frustrated, and I'm like, she's one of my top romance options in this game.
Yeah. She's a great romance, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it. She's fully third in my mind of like loving Solus at the minute. I would really like to have I want to see what a Blackwall romance is like, but Cassandra is like, hers is great. Of the women, Cassandra is number 1.
It's great.
Yeah.
She's trying to write down what happened. Everybody, her and Liliana specifically, really want to know, like, was that Justinia? What's happening? Have you talked to Liliana after?
I haven't, no, not yet.
Because Liliana is pretty bummed out about just Divine Justinia. And you tell her what Divine Justinia said.
I have told her that, but that wasn't in me going up to Liliana. That was just a cutscene. I just got back.
That's the first cutscene. Yeah. That's right. That one happens automatically where she asks you about that.
I'm gunning for her to become the Divine.
You're
gunning for Liliana to become the Divine. The fact that it's not a choice is like freaking me out a bit. So every time I speak to Cassandra, even though I love her, I'm like, yeah, but you wouldn't be good at it.
You will have an opportunity when you do her quest to do something that will heavily influence it.
Okay, cool.
So when you get there.
Yeah.
Dorian's into it, obviously. Sarah was like, hey, don't like that.
No.
Too much with the magic. Dead people, corpses and shit. And I'm like,
freaky.
Hey, it's fine. But like, it's just to help us win the war. I'm not that serious about it. And she's like, all right, as long as you're not serious about it, I guess. A bunch of other people have said stuff. I'm just drawing a blank about
Iron Bull say anything? Does Cullen say anything?
Oh, I finally got Iron Bull's little cutscene with the Chargers. This is the slowest I've gotten.
I keep checking in on it, and I still don't have it.
My approval was freaking me out with Iron Bull in this playthrough. I was not getting anywhere with him. I'm pro mage, pro Grey Wardens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and I'm also a Cunari who I'm a Talvashoth, and I was like, fuck the Cun when we first met. He has hated me. I just recently finally cracked that egg just enough to meet the Chargers. ugh, God, sweating, literally sweating. And so when you come back, when you talk to him, he's getting punched in the chest by Cassandra over and over again with a plank of wood. Cassandra's just beating on him, and he's like, do it again. And you're like, what's going on? He's like, the Fade thing freaked me out. I need to feel better about it right now. And apparently it's a Kunari exercise to help you overcome your fear, where you just shit talk your fears while getting hit really hard with a plank of wood. So you get to take over for Cassandra and whack him a bunch while he tells off the nightmare demon.
Funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, love him. Starting to love him. He's starting to love me finally.
Nice. Cold, anything?
Cole, you talk to Cole and he's like, fuck this. And he's screaming at Solus in the middle of the courtyard. And he's like, you have to. And Solus is like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, but I could be just like them. I could wind up like them. If you get the chance to play again, I'm glad I chose
Hopefully
who I
will
chose.
at some point.
Bringing Cole into the Fade
is
very
good.
Outstanding decision.
Yeah.
The storytelling is crazy good.
Yeah. This game has a thing which I think it probably maybe not necessarily does it the best, but I don't know because I have only played these games once. But the thing of regardless of who you bring, someone will always have interesting, cool, good things to say.
Yeah.
Because in 2, bringing Anders along to pretty much any conversation is like a pretty surefire hit. Like he's going to have something interesting to say. But in Inquisition, in this mission, Blackwall, and then I brought Solus, who was in the Fade and had loads of shit to talk about, and then Varric just felt like just the cleanest home run. But then you're talking about Dorian, and then it's like obviously Cole is going to have shit to say, and Cassandra with the Divine there. It's like, I mean, like switching people out would be huge.
Yep, it's awesome. Really, there's no losers for that. Yeah. So Cole is begging Solus to bind him so that he cannot be corrupted and turned into a demon like the spirit set Adamant. And Solus is refusing, and you're like, hey gang, maybe and then he's like, well, then you have to destroy me. If you're not going to do it, you have to kill me so that I don't turn and hurt everybody.
Yeah.
Solus is like, no, not that either. And I'm like, we have to figure this out. Cole, we're going to figure something out. It's not going to be either of those things.
Yeah.
Let me think on it. And then you get a war table operation to try to research ways to help Cole be less vulnerable to being manipulated as a spirit. So I haven't done that yet.
Fun.
But that's
his mission.
Yeah. That's his personal quest.
I remember his personal quest from my OG run. So I'm excited.
I'm really excited about that because I have strong opinions about it.
Cool. I'm excited to do it this run.
Yeah.
Might even be next week. I have told you all the post mission stuff that I did. Because I
did no post mission stuff. I closed my computer and passed out after. But I was so happy. I'm simply
head over heels.
Delighted. I love that whole quest.
Yeah. One last thing that I did, which is again is purely mechanical, but I got the legendary schematic for the best bow, and I built a fucking killer bow.
Oh fuck yeah!
And now, and my bow has gone from like 60 damage base to like 120 damage, and I'm like, excellent. I'm going to start cleaning house.
I haven't built anything yet. I'm about to. This is endgame, and this is a ritual for me. Because we're in the back half now, and my team needs to look fucking coordinated.
I don't like building mechanics in games like this. Like I don't like the weapon and armor manufacturing. because it feels tedious. It's like going and then getting the items is like, it just feels silly and dumb. And it's like, I liked, not to keep bringing it up, but I liked Origins of you find an item and it's cool and good and you wear that for the rest of the thing. Even though I do technically prefer 2's because I think 2's number thing is a little better.
Yes,
but
and it's less
like it goes up by 0.3 and it's like, I don't care, give me a just, is it better?
Yeah. This one has green and red for us stupids.
Yep, it does, and it's good, and I like it way better.
Number green,
number good. I'll take that. Thank you.
Put it on.
Yeah. Number green doesn't look stupid. I'll have that. Thank you.
I'll have that.
Thank you, young sir. What are we doing next week? What's our mission?
I will tell you. Our mission next week is what Pride had wrought.
Fun.
Which,
wow, we really are in the back half, huh?
So now I'm going to tell you something. If you have not started your preamble quest, you start what Pride had wrought, it's going to be your last opportunity to do so. So there's a preamble. My thing is with Calpurnia, so that the stone and stuff. Oh. There is one for you about Samson. And if you don't do it now, between now and next week, you won't be able to. And I believe you get yours from Cullen.
Probably.
So
I actually think I might have it from Cullen. I just haven't. Okay.
So that's just something to note. I think it's a good bit of extra storytelling. I think it's
will be good. It's going to be worth it. Yeah. That's a good. I appreciate you.
And I actually forgot how much I liked Calpurnia's because I always side with the mages, so I never do this run.
Yeah.
But this whole thing with the magic crystal and spying on her and getting like messages.
That's really cool.
And like hearing Charybdis'
and having Dagna be a
and
big
Dagna
moment.
Being like, being really in it.
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool. I like that a lot. That's really, really fun.
Speaking of Dagna.
Oh.
Sarah and I have gotten quite close.
Fun.
And so I don't know if you noticed, but outside Sarah's room, her journal is just hanging out there.
Yeah.
You can read it. And it changes throughout the game. Like entries get added and more stuff gets added to it. And she's started to doodle about Dagna and how cute she is.
That's cute. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love NPCs getting together.
Yep.
That's so neat.
Me too.
Very strong.
If you like that, can I give you a recommendation?
Yeah.
To let Dorian and Iron Bull hang out on the Sword Coast for like 4.5 hours.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll do some random nothing cleanup quests on the Sword Coast.
Yeah, bring them on random cleanup quests. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, that's it. That's Beautiful. It for me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty stoked. I am.
That's one of my favorite bits of the game. Yeah.
What is this?
The one we just did.
Oh, the one we just did? It's like it's possibly one of the best single missions in. It's definitely in the franchise.
Yeah.
It's one of the best single missions. But it's the end game problem. Avengers Endgame, people are like, it's peak, it's the best shit ever. But it's not unless you've watched all of the other movies. And then it's the best. Is The Abyss, is it super the best high peaks?
Yeah.
Because it on its own, I don't believe so. But with all of the backlogs.
On its own, I think it's fine.
I think Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts is peak on its own.
I would agree with you, I think.
Same with Hushed Whispers.
I think in Hushed Whispers on its own is awesome. The best.
Yeah.
It's the best. I would pay a witch to erase my memory so that I could experience Liliana choking that guy out with her legs and sacrificing herself for you to escape.
Yeah.
For the first time.
It's cool. It's awesome.
Oh,
it's great.
Incredible.
Is that it? We're wrapping up? Do you want to do some Patreon thank yous?
First, here lies the abyss, the well of all souls. From these emerald waters doth life begin anew. Come to me, my child, and I shall embrace you. In my arms lies eternity. The Canticle of Andraste, 14:11.
Amen.
Amen.
Do you want to do some patron thank yous?
We do want to do some patron thank you.
Patron. We're going to see. Hi, oh my god.
Yes, but we want to say thank you to all the patrons because truthfully,
It's the best shit ever. Love it. Obsessed.
Any little bit helps us to keep doing stuff like this, and it's really funding our wild dreams of making like artsy fartsy actual play content.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. But a special thank you. Hold on, lost internet for a second.
Right at the end.
It's always the
right
way.
At the end, eh? Damn, not being able to see myself because I don't have a look at the screen. I let my hair get shitty, which I don't ever do.
Oh, that's not true. Your hair looks great right now.
I look at myself constantly when we're on camera and looking at a screen for the first time in a little bit while my eyes are watering. You know what I'd like?
What?
I think we'd have to wait till we finish Veilgaurd. I'd like to do a best mission, like a draft, like a top 5 best missions in all of the franchise.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Easy.
Most of them would be in Inquisition, I think.
Origins got at least one. 2's got at least one.
That's fun because I mentioned that Origins definitely. Well,
yeah, we can't talk about it.
We can't talk about it.
We want to thank a couple of patrons specifically for their extra support.
Yes.
And that would be Callum,
Parker Lang,
and Rodrigo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you want to subscribe, 1, you'll help us out, and 2, you can get all of our extra and early content. For frequencies, you get things early. For Dorkspawn, you're getting extra stuff.
Again, a monthly podcast.
Yep. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Gather around the war table, everyone.
Gather around, you pieces of fucking garbage.
Come around.
Get
on your
here.
knees.
Yeah.
Beg.
Get on your knees and
beg.
Beg.
That we succeed. For I
have seen the
throne of gods, and it is empty.